What's up, everybody? Haitian Homie here, and we need to talk. We need to talk about mental health in the Overwatch League and in esports as a whole. So, in advance, if this is a topic that you don't want to listen to or you're not in a place where you can listen to it, go ahead and click off now. I won't be offended. But we have to talk about mental health for a few minutes. And I'm talking about this because in the past several weeks, we have seen multiple people within the Overwatch League step away from the league due to mental health reasons. Effect, player for the Dallas Fuel, had to step away because he was dealing with some serious issues, thoughts of suicide. He felt that he had to step away from the game in order to save his life, really. And then you have Kate Mitchell, the GM for the Washington Justice, who stepped away because she was facing harassment that was causing her, incredible amounts of stress that she was having trouble dealing with. Both of these are major issues that point at a much larger problem within esports and within the Overwatch League that needs to be addressed and needs to be addressed quickly before more players, before more staff leave the league. So there are 4 things that I want to talk about that I think are really important. Number 1, fans need to chill out. There is no reason for harassment, no reason for toxicity within any esports. There's no reason for it in anywhere in life. There's obviously banter, there's trash talk, but there's a difference between trash talk and toxicity. There's also a difference between reaching out to people you like or, commenting that maybe they didn't have a good match, and there's a difference between that and turning it into a personal attack. If you're in comp, if you're playing on ladder, there's a difference between saying, hey, you need to use your defensive matrix a little bit better so we can get through the choke. There's a difference between that and calling that person all sorts of names for, making a mistake. These are the sort of things that gamers, we spew things out of our mouths that's even sometimes you don't mean, but we need to chill out. And it's kind of just a generalized thing. I don't think that the people who need to chill out are the ones who are listening to this video, so I don't think I'm talking to the right crowd here. But overall, what I realize is that a lot of times fans are so engrossed in their favorite teams that they forget that there are real people that have to see the comments, the hate that people are leaving behind. Even within the Philadelphia Fusion Discord, Sato, he has a reputation for dying a lot and being a problem for the team. But can you imagine how much it must suck to be Sato and go into his own team's Discord and see all the comments saying, trade Sato, Sato is terrible, swearing at Sato? Like, chill out. He's a person. He's not just a bunch of pixels, right? He's not just Winston. He is a real person who has to read people's comments and deal with the fact that it seems like everyone hates him. Like, he doesn't deserve that. Do I think that he may need to be replaced for the better of the team? Yes, but that's not a personal attack against him. Chill out, people. The second thing that we need to look at is Overwatch League, as a business, as a company, needs to support its staff. They need to make sure that their staff understand what they have access to. They need to understand, hey, if you need mental health help, we can hook you up with this doctor. We can hook you up with this hotline. We can, here's what your insurance covers. I think that the Overwatch League needs to, and maybe they are behind the scenes, I don't know this, but I really hope that Overwatch League is taking mental health seriously, and I think they need to make sure that all of their players, all of their staff understand that they can get help. If they need someone to talk to, they can get help, right? And furthermore, I think that people need to be safe. They need to feel safe being able to go to the league office and say, hey, people are going crazy. People are causing me all this amounts of stress. Can you help? Can you calm people down? Can you make them chill out? A lot of times people don't feel comfortable talking with their employers about certain things because they don't have good working relationships with their employers or because they don't think their employers care. I really hope that Overwatch League is taking this seriously and realizes that they need to be behind their employees every step of the way when it comes to managing their mental health. Overwatch League has got to be invested in their players and invested in their staff for the longevity of the league and for the humanity of taking care of your employees, right? And I really hope that behind the scenes they're working on some initiatives to help people out. Number 3, it has to be destigmatized. It's getting better, obviously. But there's still this stigma among gamer bros that, mental health is some sort of weakness. Think about the crowd of people who would have felt fine swearing at you and calling your mother bad names on Modern Warfare 2, right? I don't think that they really take mental health all that seriously. That sort of stereotyped crowd, it exists. These are, people who exist. And on top of that, there's kids. There's, young kids, 12-year-olds, 13-year-olds, who really just love the Dallas Fuel because they signed their favorite streamer, XQC, and they're still learning how to become young men and women. They're still learning how to become adults, and maybe they don't realize the impacts of their words. They don't realize that people have these things called anxiety and depression, and, they don't realize what that is. It needs to be talked about. It needs to be talked about in a way to say, hey, these are the mental health issues that some people face, and it's okay. Respect them, give them their space. Don't, call them out. Don't make fun of people, who have depression or anxiety. Don't get on their last nerve. Chill out, 12 and 13-year-old kids, It's this sort of talk that we need to have to make sure that as we're bringing up the next generation of gamers, right, whether it's your little cousin, whether it's your little brother, little sister, do they understand that esports is just a game, but the people behind them are real? We have to recognize that, this is something that exists, and we're going to talk about it in a positive manner. I think it would go a long, long way for the Overwatch League to really do sort of something on broadcast. I think it would be huge if they came out one week and they, during the Watch Point show or during the first part of their broadcast or during a commercial break, they took 5 minutes, broke it down and said, hey, we realize what's going on in our league. We realize that, there's a lot of stress on people. Here's what we're doing. Here's how you can help. Here's what is important for players to know, for fans to know in 5 minutes or less about mental health, what it is, why we need to talk about it, and what the Overwatch League is doing. I would love to see them tell us what's going on behind the scenes and how they're trying to help their players, help their staff. That would go a long way to making the step and saying, hey, we're going to do the right thing, and you, the fans, have to do the right thing as well. Follow us with it, chill out, and be kind to the people that you're supporting. Finally, I really think there needs to be external research done about the stress involved with esports. Again, this is sort of a stereotype stigma thing where people don't seem to see esports as a job, right? People who are watching their favorite Twitch streamers don't see that as a job, but their favorite Twitch streamers, that's how they make money. That's how they make a living. People like DeFran would have to work at McDonald's if they weren't saying, let's go, dude, on stream for 10 hours a day. Yes, they're doing it for fun, but it's also a job. Esports is fun, but it's also a job. When you are practicing and watching VOD reviews and training for 8 hours a day, there's a certain point at which it no longer becomes the most fun thing you can do, and it is work that you get paid for and you take a paycheck home. I don't know if all the fans really get that, but what really makes esports different, and this is why I think we need to look at it, is because when you talk about, NFL, NBA, MLB, professional traditional sports, we understand that there is a physical component involved. We understand that it's viewed as work, etc., but we also understand that these players have some level of privacy, right? That when they step off the field, they can go home and by and large be alone or with their families. But when it comes to professional players, but when it comes to esports, we seem to have this sort of barrier that is broken where, hey, if someone like Poco or if someone like, XQC, where if someone like, Poco is not playing with his team, he might be streaming. And if he's not streaming, well, maybe you can catch him on Twitter, right? Where do players have their privacy? And I think that's a big part of why mental health is so important to talk about, is because if I felt like I had no privacy because I always had to be on for my fans, there's no way I could do that. There's no way I would physically be able to be a performer all the time. That would take a huge, heavy toll to always feel like I have to be on so that I never let anyone down, right? Tom Brady can go home and chill out, but can an esports player? What is the impact of playing video games for several hours a day, every day for months? What is the impact of doing it competitively, in a place where we're still growing the esports industry? It's not set in stone. It hasn't matured yet, right? You look at traditional sports, they've had time to work out all the kinks and figure out what they have to do for the betterment of their players, or at least we hope they have. But we're still on the cutting edge with esports of figuring out even just the basics of how to make esports work. We haven't even figured out how to really get esports teams in their own individual cities yet, much less we don't know how to help people who are dealing with mental illnesses. I think that external research needs to be done by companies, by universities, by, students. People really have to look at the impacts of gaming, the impacts of an always-on culture on esports professionals. They're not just some, entertainment for us where we always think that we can reach out to our favorites at any moment. So I guess what I'm trying to say is the Overwatch League and esports in general is kind of a wild west right now, and we're still trying to figure out how it all works. And along the way, I think what it has to be focused on is, are players in the best state? And if they're not, and if it becomes a sort of epidemic where people are walking away from the league because they just can't mentally take it anymore, then we have got to bunker down and figure out what's going on and how to fix it so that the league can be sustained, so that players can have, enjoyable lives, so that people like Kate Mitchell don't feel like they have to leave esports completely or to leave the league completely. If Overwatch League is to be taken seriously, then Overwatch League needs to take the safety and health of its players seriously. And so do the fans. So I guess what I'm hoping is that, if we as fans see people taking things a little too far, hopefully we can, be the do-gooders to say, hey, chill out, calm down, be the good guy, be the superhero, and tell people to chill out. And hopefully enough people take this seriously from a fan perspective that Overwatch League also takes it seriously and does the best that it can for its employees. That's the goal. That's the hope. Let me know what you think. If you have any first-hand experience with, any of these, if you've been in a situation where you felt like you always had to be on for, people, if you have any sort of little bit of fame that you want to talk about or a lot of fame that you want to talk about, help give some perspective. What's it like and what don't we understand? I think that's really valuable. I would love to hear a player's perspective because I'm just spitballing thinking what it might be like if I were there. But if you're a player in the tier 2 or tier 1 scene, tier 3 scene, and you have people watching you, if you're a streamer and people are watching you, what's that like and how do you cope with it? How can you help others? How can you help us help others? Let me know what you think. And as from a fan perspective, if you're a fan, hopefully we can work together to do some good for esports in general. So I know this was a little bit of a downer video, but hopefully good things come out of this. Honestly, I hope that as time goes on, we see fewer people walking away from the league, fewer people walking away from esports. So I want this to be a positive conversation that we can have and help make the league and esports a better place. Does that make me kind of an idealist? Maybe. But at the end of the day, that I just want things to be good, I want things to be good for everyone. So, yeah. Thank you for watching, and I will see you on Monday when we recap everything that's been going on this week in Overwatch. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you all later.